Hi, I'm Mandy Butler, physical therapist at Children's Hospital, Brook Road.
I'm Lauren Andelin, occupational therapist at this Brook Road location, and I'm a part of the assistive technology team.
I'm Kate.
This is Kate, and I'm Michelle Frody, physical therapist here at the Brook Road location as well.
So we are here today to talk about our alternative drive control program. This program helps children who have never experienced driving power wheelchairs learn to drive power wheelchairs. It also helps children who may not be able to drive a power wheelchair with a standard joystick learn to drive a chair with different switches or different head controls or leg controls or foot controls. Kate was one of our first children in this program when she was 4 years old, and now she's 8. So she's been a wheelchair user for a few years now, and so she is here today to show off some of her skills.
All right, Kate, why don't you turn on your chair so we can show everybody what we've been working on. Good job. All right, we're going to turn around and face the tables, okay? Why don't you pull forward a little bit? There you go. And when you get turned around, stop, and I'll show you what we're going to do. All right, keep turning so that you face this way. All right, good, stop. All right, so we're going to practice going through the middle of the U, okay? All right, hold on, stop. You got to wait, let me show you. All right, so we're going to drive forward through pink, green, and then blue. All right, what happens if you accidentally hit the table?
Like that. Like that.
Yep, you stop and then back up. All right, go ahead. Good job. You're getting kind of close on the left. Or your right, I guess. Thank you. So Kate controls her chair with her head. The head array, she's able to do forwards and backwards with the back pad and left and right with the pads on the side of her head. And then she also uses this small switch on the left in order to change the functions of her chair and also control her chair on, off, and then be able to make it go up and down as needed. Kate, that was great. All right, turn around, start on this side. We're going to go back through the other direction.
I can do it.
You can do it? All right, I think you should start over here first so you can get yourself straight. All right, turn that way a little bit. All right, you're too far to the left. Why don't you back up and try to come back over here a little bit.
Like this. Like this. Like good. It's the right. And blue.
Good.
Green.
Go a little further forward first.
Green.
There we go.
Green. And pink.
Good job, you made it. All right.
Awesome.
Why don't you head over here? We're going to practice going in and out of the cones without stopping, okay?
All right.
So park right over there.
Like, yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, right here. All right. Come back up here and stop first. There you go. Turn yourself around.
I can do it.
All right, can you back up towards me a little bit? Good, stop. All right, so let me show you what you're going to do first, okay? Stay here. All right, so you're going to go left, then right, and then stop, okay? Hold on, listen to the instructions, wait, stop. If you make it all the way without stopping, you get a sticker. But if you stop, I get a sticker, okay?
Alright,
Alright.
so left.
Yep, left first.
It,
Good, keep going. Now right.
so right.
Mm-hmm. You're doing great, keep going. That was wonderful. Good job. What sticker do you want? Mickey Mouse, Doc McStuffins, Doc McStuffins.
Again.
Again. Which one? That one? Okay. All right, can we do it back again one more time?
Wait.
There you go. All right, turn around. Good job. All right, ready? Watch. Hold on, watch me first. You're gonna go right, then left, and then stop over here.
I know. So right.
Right.
Then
Whoops, watch out the cones there. Make sure you go all the way around it or back up.
I go.
Good job.
And then it goes like this. Slash.
Keep going, don't stop, don't stop. Oh no!
And then this one.
Great work! You made it pretty close. I saw one little stop, but that's all right. All right, which sticker do you want today? Now. Another Doc McStuffins? Okay, which one? The big one again?
And put it right here.
Where? Oh, on your shirt? On your dress?
Right here.
Right here? Okay. All right, you did a great work today. I'm proud of you.
Can I see?
Yeah. Well, can you see the video? We can watch it a little later. I think they're going to ask you how you liked it. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Yeah? What was your favorite part of the obstacle course?
And I go in. And I go to tails.
When you go between the tables.
Between the tables? That was some good work. Thanks for joining us for the video, Kate.
No. I'm gonna go to my mama now.
She's going to go to Mom now. All right, Mom's over there.
Hi, Mama. Hi. Get ready.
We're going to do a quick interview now with a couple of our assistive technology folks from the Alt Drive program. Just get set real quick. So can you guys tell us a little bit about what the Alt Drive program is?
Sure. It's an 8-week program. The first appointment is an evaluation, and that appointment we're figuring out where the child's access point is, and that's
So it's with an occupational therapist and a physical therapist, so we can kind of use our different perspectives to help find the best access point, meaning how the child is going to control the chair. So Kate uses the head array, and as Michelle explained, she has a right, left, and back button, and then she has a small switch in the back to turn the chair on and off and control functions. Some kids will just use a joystick on their arm that's adapted to fit their hand position better. It might be larger or taller. They could also use their feet or any other body part. So we're kind of trying to figure out, looking at their vision and their motor skills, what would be the best and most efficient access point.
And then from a PT perspective, I'm also looking at the child's position in the chair. Are they supported? Are they too comfortable in the chair? Or are they in a position of readiness? So the evaluation is our first appointment, and then we have 7 follow-up sessions where we work on the alt drive controls. After that, it kind of gives us an idea whether or not a child's ready for their own chair, whether or not they just need to practice some of the skills at home, or whether or not we need to continue therapy, whether it just be with OT or PT, just to practice some of the skills a little bit further before a chair is ordered.
What type of diagnoses do you typically see that kids have that come to the program and benefit from the program?
We've had numerous diagnoses. I guess cerebral palsy is a big diagnosis, but we see children with lots of different conditions, usually conditions where using their hands to operate a regular joystick would not work for them. So often they have some movement in some other part of their body, but they can't use their hands. So
or they can use their hand and need some adaptations to the standard joystick. So that's kind of where the first evaluation is. We look at all of those kind of possibilities.
So cerebral palsy, SMA, some of the muscular dystrophies,
Traumatic brain injury, kids with chromosomal things.
chromosomal abnormalities.
So you mentioned that Kate started in the program when she was around 4, and she's 8 now. Do you typically recommend that kids start at a young age, and what are the benefits of starting the program at a younger age?
We're big fans of starting early. We'll, if it helps, if we know a child has great cognitive skills, we'll start even as early as a year to 18 months with power and mobility, because children start with their crawling and rolling as early as, even 6 months. So 12 months is, we're getting kind of late in the game with mobility. So we try to start early.
And it can really help. Mobility is such an important part of cognitive development, and achieving kind of that, knowing that a child can be independent. The more that they are able to move by themselves, the more a lot of their other skills will develop. So thinking about, like Mandy said, a typical child will develop mobility before they say their first word, sometimes 6 months before.
What are some of the alternative drive options that are available for kids?
So Kate has a head array. There's several different head array options on the market. There's also just using a single switch, maybe on a tray, or several switches. There's even switches out there that let you just use a finger touch. There's some different joysticks that children can use their chin or their tongue, or even if they have a teeny bit of finger movement. They're so light and don't require a lot of force. So some children will use those.
Even the light infrared.
Oh, yeah, there is one called an infrared switch, which you just have to break the light beam, the infrared light beam. So if you can raise your eyebrow and break that light beam, then that may be a way that you could drive a power chair.
Well, it sounds like all of these options really give kids more independence, and that's pretty incredible. Can you talk about some of the different things that you can do with the drive controls? Is it mainly for coming and going? Are there other options on the drive controls?
Well, sometimes figuring out that children's access points and ability to drive a chair can also carry over into their ability to access a communication device too. So they go hand in hand. So some children that we never knew were motivated to hit switches maybe in their traditional speech therapy, but all of a sudden they can move and they're super motivated to move their head to drive a chair. We can take that movement that they're showing us and use it to develop their language skills.
Their access. And the nice thing, as we mentioned, Kate has a switch that she uses with her elbow to toggle between settings. So if she were needing to use a communication device, she could use her head controls to activate the communication device by toggling through settings with the switch in her elbow.
That's incredible. Are these sorts of devices typically covered by insurance?
They are. Certainly when children are learning to drive, we have to put some more justification in our letters that we write to the insurance company, because insurance often wants to know that a child can do it safely all by themselves. But when Kate was learning how to drive it, she still needed somebody with her. But really important to remember, most 4-year-olds need an adult with them all the time anyways. So she needed that practice. She needed her own chair so that she could learn the skills on her chair, on her setup, and so that she can master it. And you can see she does great and uses this chair all the time, but she still has some fine tuning that she's working on with Michelle. So it's kind of an ever-growing skill.
So you talked a little bit about the independence that she has now. How long does it typically take somebody Kate's age to fully understand how to use their drive controls? I know you said it's an 8-week program. At the end of that, are folks typically pretty independent?
I would say not often, unless they were maybe a child that did walk around before and that didn't kind of know their boundaries. They knew, oh, I don't want to run into the wall. Oh, I've got to watch out down low. Then those children can move pretty quick and may be ready for a chair at the end of 8 weeks. But for somebody like Kate, where she wasn't a crawler or a walker, she's learning what it feels like to bump into a wall and watch out for her safety with running over people's toes and watching out for her safety running into walls. So she's learning those skills in conjunction with figuring out what these switches are. So it takes a lot longer.
So in addition to helping kids with alternative drive in their chairs, you guys also participate in a program called Go Baby Go. Can you describe that a little bit?
Do you want to go ahead?
Well, another PT here does most of the trials with that, and it's adapted power wheel cars. So it gives children the ability to control the car using the switches or alternative controls like they would be using in the power chair.
And that's a great program, generally geared to smaller children, so toddlers, because that's what those cars are made for. And it helps children just figure out maybe with a single switch how to go and stop. And it's something that other kids their age are doing. Parents sometimes feel like it's more acceptable to be in one of those cars just while they're learning instead of using a power wheelchair. So it's a great, stepping stone to getting kids moving who may not be able to do so by walking around.
So if a family is watching and they want to help get their child moving, how do you make an appointment with the AT team or the Alt Drive team, and what all locations do you see patients at?
So right now we're seeing, we have 2 alternative drive control slots here at the Brook Road location only. We usually ask families to get a prescription from their doctor for an occupational and physical therapy evaluation for alternative drive controls. Once they receive that, they can call the number on the CHOR website to schedule therapy appointments. That appointment will be scheduled with our scheduling coordinator, Jackie, and she will work with the family and their equipment vendor to all have us meet at one appointment, and that's where we'll begin.
Great. Is there anything else related to the program that you want to make sure that we share today?
I think the biggest thing that we've come to realize is that there's a lot of children that may not be able to communicate with their words or verbally or be able to walk, and until you give the child a chance to try power mobility, then you don't know what they may be able to do. So
it's always a good option to try it, because they might not end up being ready for a chair at the end of the 8 weeks, but it's a good starting point to kind of see what it's all about and to give them that opportunity.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing more about the Alternative Drive program, and we'll be sure to put a link in the comments below if folks are interested in learning more.